Nice to meet you. So I'm originally from England and I came to the US as a college student. I went to Suffolk University and I really liked being in the US so much that I decided that I wanted to stay and get a PhD. I did go back to England for 1 year to do a Master's of Research and Education, and then I came back to the US and I went to West Virginia University, WVU, where I got a PhD in developmental psychology. So I also got a master's degree and a PhD in lifespan developmental psychology from WVU. Most of my research to this point has focused on gender and friendships. So I have studied sex segregation in friendships, and that's the tendency for men and women and boys and girls to separate in friendships and casual encounters. So with this line of research, I looked at whether or not sex segregation exists across the lifespan. So there's a lot of research that suggests that sex segregation is really pervasive in childhood, and we can see this across cultures. So we know that this is something we see a lot in childhood, but nobody had really studied what sex segregation looked like post-childhood. And I think one of the main reasons for that is really just because there's this assumption that once you hit adolescence, you're starting to form romantic relationships with people of the other sex, and that friendships really don't matter as much anymore. But I really believe that friendships are important across the lifespan, and so I wanted to study sex segregation as a lifespan phenomena. And in this research, along with my colleagues, we've managed to show that sex segregation really does exist across the lifespan. So we've collected data with adolescents, with emerging adults who are college-age students. We've looked at people in their 30s and looked at sex segregation in their friendships. And we've even looked at people, I think our oldest participant in one of these studies was in their 90s. So we've really been able to document that sex segregation does exist across the lifespan. Yeah, so all of the research that I do at Immanuel College, I do with undergraduate research assistants. So I have people in my lab who are freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So students can really get involved at any point that they want to. And it's actually a lot of fun to be able to work with students on research, because I get to introduce them to the research process and I really get to mentor them and train them one-on-one. And I think this is actually one of the benefits of an Immanuel education, is that you get to have these opportunities. If I had been at a bigger school, I probably would have been working with graduate students, so they would have gotten all of my attention. But because I don't have graduate students, my undergraduate students are the ones who are my research lab, and so they get opportunities that I don't think they would have gotten if they had gone somewhere else. So all of the students in my research lab attend weekly lab meetings, they collect data, they get to prepare IRB proposals, which are ethics proposals that we do in psychology. They get to present their data at national conferences. I think that's the most exciting thing, that students doing research in my lab actually get to go to national conferences and meet some of the famous psychologists they've been reading about in their classes and present their research in front of them. So I think that's a really, really great opportunity. I think everybody always has the same answer to this. The thing I like best about Immanuel really is the students. I really like being able to interact and to work with them. I really love having the opportunity to get to know my students one-on-one and to be able to provide this individualized mentoring. Again, I think at bigger schools it's harder to do this. When I have 200 students in a class, it's really hard for me to get to know all of them, but here at Immanuel with smaller class sizes, I can really get to know my students. I really find the students here to be engaged, interested, and they really care about social justice, which I think is fabulous because it's something that I care about too.